that one. You can catch people out anyway.
I was actually thinking about this a little earlier, a day or two ago, because I was theorycrafting some stuff. Twitch really needs a lot of those low-range and mobile carries like you're talking about. It's also okay, you know, versus maybe something like a Misfortune, which we've very rarely seen out of some teams, but it's not even been an Able or Ppgod pick. The Varus picked up. Ezreal going to be traded again. Similar bot side matchup. I can't. That's it. You know what? I'm just going to leave it. That's just going to confuse me. I'm going to leave it there. It upsets me. Kid's going to go onto that Udyr as well. So front line, very stable, early pushing top laner for Cube. We've got Able on this Ezreal, who has been a really, really big part of OMG's wins when he's played this.
All right. So far so good for the side of OMG. Pretty much going for at least a similar composition, where you've got Able on the Ezreal, who's going to be your predominant carry. You've got Cube on a very safe, very tanky top laner as well. We'll see if they can continue to build this composition out in an effective way. I don't expect Hui to make it through these bans, or if it does, well, I mean, I just don't expect it to. You've already got the Karma on the side of EDG. You don't want it. Please ban it away.
I think you ban the Nautilus as well, maybe. Instead, okay, banning out the Marker. You want to ban up the setup champions as well, because the thing is, the way in isolation, I think, is maybe manageable, especially right now when you don't have a long-range engage option. If you ban out, well, maybe just ban out the Hui and just say if they have another long-range engage option, that's a problem. It's going to be the Rakan taken out instead, which is, of course, one of Ppgod's strongest champions, was banned in the first round of bans last game. But now potentially opens up like a Hui Nautilus 4-5 from OMG, and I think that'll be fine for them.
I feel like EDG need to just pick the Nautilus, right? I think that's what they're angling for, and there we go, a ban from OMG to deny that as a pick for EDG. Also, I just noticed Vampire is playing, so Shimu.
Yeah, wow, okay, jump scare.
In between the games, Vampire has returned to the stage. There we go, Rel going to be the lock-in for Vampire.
Okay, so Nautilus gone, Rel gone. You'd go to a different archetype of champion now. I think Ppgod and melee supports would be quite big for him. Could technically go something like the Leona. If you're locking in the Hui, you need a long-range setup. So that's not optional. You need that.
Leona is something Ppgod's very comfortable on, but also Leona Ezreal is pretty famous as a duo, like a very, very solid synergy between those two champions. I don't hate the idea, even though Leona's not been particularly meta.
You just want something that can set up. Like, you've got the long-range backline. Have something to pin people in place so they absolutely explode. Alistair, another real hot favorite of what Ppgod has brought out recently. We've seen Missing go towards this too. It's a champion which has been hovering around. I would have really liked to see that lock in.
Also just has a very good matchup into the Rel, right? You can pulverize out of the crash down, so denying a lot of what Rel brings to the table. I like the hover of the Bard, but I feel like Alistair is definitely the answer in this one. As we've got three carries this time for OMG.
Bard is the one champion I don't own in League of Legends because I've had so many traumatizing games from that champion since Season 5. I just sit there and I'm like, it's the only champion which can really make your teammates really hate you like that. Ala, though, taking matters into his own hands. We see very rarely Jace games in top lane right now. It's kind of fallen out of the meta almost altogether. We see occasional games from players like Zeus or whatever who are very proficient in top lane matchups. You can bully out top lane matchups. I'm interested to see whether this will be Conqueror for real heavy trading or whether it's going to be Phase Rush to survive a little bit more. Does mean that this game is kind of like it was for Xiaomu last game, very much on Vampire to be the initiation threat, because you have damage from triple AD long-range threats. You need to pin someone down to really make sure that damage lands.
Jace, a pick that Ala has a reasonable amount of history on. 21 picks, 12 and 9 across history. Certainly a champion that you can take over the game, and I feel like Ala does need to be somewhat of a carry for his team. With the way that things have been going recently for EDG, he was the back-to-back MVP in the series they won against AL. And right now, against the ropes is OMG, a dominant game number 1 win. Ala gets a carry. This Jace has to go huge in the matchup against Udyr.
It's going to be a little bit difficult in some ways. I'm interested to see exactly how he can play around the top jungle 2v2, because Jace has got a target on his back most of the time when you pick this champion in top lane, because he often gets pushed and then there's a gank threat in the long lane. Viego will threaten him more than the Graves will be able to help him. So EDG, it's a pretty dangerous statement to make. This is quite a hard draft to play. when you're struggling this much, yes, give carry potential to your carry top lane player. Ala is fantastic at carries. He has done so much for this team, but the team is going to have a hard time executing this draft. OMG on the other side, it's back to basics for them.
Let's see. Going back to basics can save them as we head into game 2. Reasonable gyros on both sides there. And I'm going to be honest, like, Ala is going to be going for the Conqueror on the Jace. Like, very much carrier performance required from him. But I'm also looking at Vampire, subbed back in this bottom side. The Snake and Shimu kind of getting destroyed in game number 1. We need to see a little bit more here for game number 2. Angel might just face check into Vampire. This is a little bit dangerous for Angel. The whole gang is grouped up, but Angel saw the Snake before, and there we go. Big Q from Abel. It gives up the ghost of what was to come, and EDG, I think, is still going to go for the invade anyway. This is getting spicy. Looking for the chickens. I don't know if this is a fight that they win at this point.
Ppgod potentially threatening a flash pulverize. EDG have to back off, and sadly for them, they don't get anything out of that, even stealing. Oh, it was okay. That's fine. As long as they just draw the attention of what's happening here, Ala can get himself a bit of a matchup here. Quick stats to you, because this is quite important. There's only been one Jace pick in the LPL this entire year. It was a loss, and it was a mid lane pick. Now, last year, it was one of the most prominent champions in the entire meta. 192 picks in the LPL, split between mid lane mostly and then top lane as well. This champion has absolutely disappeared off the face of the meta, even though it was an LPL favorite. Ala, just to try and conjure last year's results.
It's kind of crazy as well, considering lethality has been so popular, which is Jace's wheelhouse typically.
Yeah.
Kind of funny, really, that it fell out of the meta, but you know, Cassante, Udyr, these tanks have been king up top, and lethality typically tends to struggle in those kinds of matchups. However, like, you can definitely see the angle, can't you? You definitely have an incredibly strong laning phase up against things like this Udyr. You can bully from range and just keep on harassing. Udyr, one of these champions that has a lot of sustain if you can hit the minion wave, but if you start to fall behind on health and the enemy top laner can threaten an all-in onto you, it's actually quite difficult to sustain up at that point.
Okay, so important stuff to note is whether XiaoFang can interrupt this matchup towards top side as well. Also, as we get later into it, we'll see what the itemization is. Typically, when we've seen Jace top, say, in the LEC and in the LCK as well, we see the Profane Hydra being built up, and it's a bit more of a bursty, bruisery assassin kind of build. Monkey trying to help out this top side by invading and stopping XiaoFang. Oh no, Ali, don't walk into this.
Ala's moved in. He wants to try and get XiaoFang down, but Ala's chunked himself to make this play happen. Cube walks away with his life. Ghost used as well as he moves back to the top side. Has the sustain off of the minion wave a little bit, but 10 CS down up top right now. Ala starting strong, and Monkey with this invade off the back of that pressure.
Okay, this is really important. One of the big taglines for this game that I want you to remember is this is a difficult composition to play for EDG. Getting stuff like this right early will really make it a lot easier. Making sure that this Jace can use this first phase of the lane to just lock Cube into this never-ending lost lane where he has to kind of like teleport back and still be down CS. If Monkey can isolate this lane, that is a huge win for EDG. You can see that the Snake has gotten the memo on the bot side of the map and says, this game is not about me, I'm buying a cull. And that means that OMG, they're not even going to be able to blow open bot lane as easily if EDG are not looking to fight that.
No, certainly not. Snake knows he's going on hit, knows that this is going to be a passive bot lane. I think correct decision to go for that sort of investment in the future, which, you know, it happens to be one of Jace's taglines, really, so it's all lining up. Speaking of, new season of Arcane this year. That's exciting.
Yes.
We get all of those memes back in Twitch chat.
Oh, you know, the thing which I really enjoyed about this, so I introduced my parents to Arcane and a lot of other friends, so a lot of people who've never played League of Legends really enjoyed the show, which is great. It shows there's a great piece of media which transcends the kind of game boundaries as well. But then you have to explain some of the ins and outs and say, oh, well, yeah, so there might be this kind of like werewolf-like thing called Warwick. Oh, by the way, Oriana's a clockwork lady. Oh, well, yeah, we might see Blitzcrank. There's a rat, by the way, called Twitch. It's things like this where you're trying to theory craft what could turn up. My personal theory is that eventually they'll go towards the invasion of Ionia for a later season if they want to really continue it, go into different IOs. I think that'd be really cool to see.
We'll have to see where they go with it. I do love the wording there of you have to explain that Orianna might come into the show. I'm not sure you had to explain that. And,
it's me. I have to. I have to do this. It's just the way I am.
Yeah, interesting use of the word have there, but either way, we'll see what happens when that comes out. EDG, though, not going to be waiting for the new season of Arcane, instead pushing themselves forward with almost a 500 gold lead to start things off. Grubs on the top side for XiaoFang, Monkey doing the opposite and coming down for this Drake, just like he did in game before.
So, even though EDG didn't focus on bot side early, making sure to stop off for an early dragon to make sure that OMG can't stack those to their advantage, even though it looked like it was a bit of a split map. Arla has himself his first recall, he's got himself that tier stacking, so we'll be on Muramana a little bit later into the game. We haven't always seen the Muramana built up by Jiejie's top lane this season, so again, just tracking the itemization here, seeing what Arla's cooking up. He's tried some different stuff in solo queue even before this came in. He was one of the Zac top lane players in solo queue before the split started, even though he didn't pull it out on stage. I'm interested to see what his research and development has shown.
To see as Q trying to get a bit of damage down onto Alan. We'll be able to just clear the wave in the end. I just want to talk about this Graves for a second, because I swear, every time we see Graves in the LPL, it's this skin. That Mafia Graves skin. I swear, you're in China, you're in solo queue, you see that locked in with that skin, you know you're going down. Ala might be going down himself. XiaoFang flashes to follow. Ala is in big trouble, and you give it over to XiaoFang. Of course you do. XiaoFang now off to the races.
Oh, well, you got the Crime City Graves. That's criminal in the top lane, though. That's the real skin we've got to talk about. Ala, you can't die like that in this matchup. This composition, very hard to play. The legwork was already done for you. You had that early isolation of that lane. Monkey and Fisher isolated your lane. If you die like that, in the one time you're in a 1v2, that is so difficult to swallow for your team. Because now that Jace is not going to have nearly the same ability to go through laning phase, it gives some extra gold over to the other side and slows down the snowball.
And in the meantime, we witness how this 2v2 functions in the bottom side. Vampire tries to engage. Ppgod says, not today, buddy, and punts him away again. You don't expect much action down on the bottom side of the map, which means that this denial in the top side is all the more important.
Absolutely. And again, you've got the Cull on the Varus. It's not like you're really looking to get huge explosive fights there. I mean, Rel Alistair, it's a matchup that people have played so much. It was a huge matchup back in 2020, 21 rather. That was when it really started to come to bat. Now, Rel has changed a lot as a champion since then. The stun on the Q means that you can kind of outplay the Alistair sometimes by stunning him and then doing the crash down. But it's not really, again, the most explosive matchup. Like we've seen in regards to actually successfully making the big players. Actually, it's both supports kind of just looking to deny the other one, or just like completely avoid them. Yeah,
I do think like on average, Alistair does the best in the denial aspect of this matchup, right? Because even when it comes to the team fights, you're trying to get the big magnet stop crash down, headbutt just ruins everything. That single ability.
So who would win? The Iron Maiden Ferromancer on the horse? Moo.
Just banging his cowbell. Here we go, XiaoFang moves up to the top side once again. You can see Monkey on the minimap is moving to this top lane. It might be too late though, as an all-in on the bottom side. Level 6 has hit, and it's a bit of a punishment, but no! Vampire is in all kinds of trouble. Abel flashes forward to get the kill, and now XiaoFang on the top side. Abel still, still no flash available, and Angel's here as well. OMG have read the play, and it is not well written.
No, it is not. You cannot expect this Jace matchup to go well if you are letting him get jumps on 1v2. 2v2 is okay eventually, but it's not there quick enough. And EDG, 2 deaths on this only second pick of the LPL Jace this year is a huge, huge loss for them.
It's a disaster. Losing out in the 2v2 on the bot side as well. A 2v2 that we sort of set up as uninteractive, unaction-packed, but Ppgod wasn't 6 yet. EDG thought they had a window. Abel shows them that they were wrong. Now XiaoFang getting invaded as Ppgod moves up to contest here. Fish is here, Angel on the way. This should be blue buff taken by EDG. Good use of the priority in the mid lane to take something on the map.
And again, melee supports on the roam. It has been the story of the LPL this week. That's probably if you wanted to have a big takeaway from the LPL this week, it has actually been about the support meta changing an awful lot. Now, big thing about this play and the next ones to be made, Ppgod has ult, and Vampire doesn't. Fisher forced the flash. Ppgod in a real point to threaten now with that ult.
He certainly is. Vampire doesn't have his, so OMG can threaten. XiaoFang moves in. If they can get these 2 grubs, this would be 5, but EDG don't want to just allow that to happen. An extended standoff here for the grubs as EDG move back in. That's 4 now as Monkey caught Ppgod though, stunned as he goes in, so it's just the head foot away. Vampire forced out by the ult from Cube. They just want to take this grub down. They just want to get that 5th one for themselves. The shock blast in, and there we go. 5 grubs, and now perhaps a fight as well as Fisher is caught out and will be taken down. The shield at the last second will not save him. The kitty from Airy flies on in, pounces, purring to take the kill. Monkey now trying to do some damage as it's a 2v3, and they might just win it anyway. As Cube now charges into the middle of everyone, and XiaoFang looks for the reset, and resets he will find. Monkey will be punished for taking those camps earlier on, and now Allah underneath the tower. I don't think he wins that one out, and XiaoFang zips back over the wall. It's domination from OMG.
Oh, XiaoFang is wise to the tricks of the EDG youth members. He faced them down in the LDL when he was on top esports challenges. He comes into the LPL as the new kid on the OMG roster, surrounded by this veteran experiment that we've been talking about. Now, with the teleport bot side, things are not ending yet, just for OMG.
They certainly aren't. The Snake, good flash from him. Ansys the flash and TP coming out from Angel. So overall, a positive summoner trade here for the side of EDG, and they'll even get to crash some minions in the mid lane as well. Let's take another look, though, at the absolute shenanigans up in the top side over these grubs.
Are we going to have to? We might have to go back to live. There's an engage happening in bot jungle.
OMG are not slowing down anytime soon. Actually, this is EDG making the play, and Angel, oh, the shield, no, collateral damage to finish the job. EDG at least not giving up here. They're still fighting.
Angel maybe feeling it a little too much. He teleports behind bot lane, flashes to try and kill the Snake, doesn't manage to, and then in the second play without the flash, he dies. Monkey sticking around on this dragon though, and with Abel back with an Essence Reaver, I think that OMG can maybe fight this.
We'll have to see. Abel eating forwards in the way that he always seems to. Vampire over the wall. Abel just eat forwards! You know, I called it out. I thought it was relatively safe towards the Snake, but Vampire with a Hex Splash proves me wrong.
Yeah, Abel, he finds new and interesting ways to make Ezreal. But wait, did Fisher not see that? I think he just did.
Okay, XiaoFang, nice flank from him. Can he finish a kill here? Fisher's so low on HP, but the reset isn't there. And now XiaoFang trying to escape, but Monkey might be in trouble. Blast cone out to safety, and in the meantime, XiaoFang is just autoing away. It's like a melee AD carry on this Ppgod, the Kraken Slayer in play. He is terrifying to go up against a Monkey. You don't get to go for that grab. This is not your jungle anymore.
Oh, XiaoFang has the Kraken Slayer already. He pretty much is a melee AD carry. So much damage. And EDG completely disrespected. Alistair ult to dive.
I don't know if they win this one or not. They didn't even have any minions. They just walk under the tower. 2 kills and the Snake getting the shutdown onto XiaoFang. That one's a miss from OMG.
Yeah. Now, if Ppgod has a little more health, the Alistair ultimate makes that play possible. It's just a complete misunderstanding of how much that Alistair can actually tank. And they lose out a little bit back. It's getting a bit scrappy. EDG, while all this is happening, have got this isolated matchup in topside again. But with Cube being so strong and Allah dying 3 times, this Jace top pick is just not going to be a factor, which makes all of this kind of shenanigans on the bot side kind of hurt even more. EDG would love that to be winning for them. Big thing about this play, XiaoFang obviously has the Kraken Slayer, huge amounts of consistent damage if you can keep auto-attacking. He can. Doesn't have the ultimate right now, which means that he can't finish off that kill himself for the first reset. Luckily though, his teammates can very much help him with that one, as Angel is so good at following up from long range. This is why the Hui has been quite highly prioritized, particularly against mages like Karma and Azir or Talir. You just have the extra range to bring the bear. Of course, this dive is the ill-fated one. Look, if Ppgod has like an extra 200 HP, this is probably... well, I'm not going to say it's probably okay. It's still probably bad. But still, it's pretty egregious that you're going with that much HP.
Yeah. And now the Snake is very much online. Like, Blade of the Ring King finished, his call fully stacked, 2 kills now at this point. He's been quietly farming up a Storm. Still 3,000 gold lead. Or I guess closer to 2,000, 2.5 maybe, for OMG. They certainly have the lead. There's no doubt about that one, but at least there's something going for EDG here.
They found it. They found the lead. They discovered it. They found it somewhere amazing. It's like little hide and seek. It's like, oh, the lead, where's it gone? OG have had it for most of the series, though. Very confident of that one. Snake fires out the ultimate. There is an ult from Ppgod. He's not blowing it particularly early, though.
He has been absolutely wrecked here. Ult finally does come on through. Ala is not tanking. Able might just be able to carry this fight. Steps on forward. Vampire blocks the Q in the meantime. Monkey absolutely destroys OMG. And this is some monkey business now from EDG. The whole menagerie is here. We got a monkey, we got a fisher, we got a snake. The vampire as well. Is that an animal? I don't know. More of a creature. But they're looking for towers either way.
Vampire. Maybe not part of the menagerie. Maybe he's like the menagerie owner. I'm not really sure what he gets up to in his spare time. But OMG, that was such a mistake. The thing is, the member of the wildlife crew from OMG, the cow in the bot lane, that was the real starter of that play. I think Ppgod really disrespected the damage coming out of EDG. Only popped his ult when he was half HP, which opened EDG up to go past the front line and run through the fight. OMG throwing a bit of gold back towards EDG, and that gold lead we just kind of talked about, it has gone, Joe.
It certainly has. And that's good, honestly. That makes this game competitive. It makes this exciting. I was a bit worried we were just going to witness a simple 2-0 for OMG. I was a bit worried, to be honest, because EDG finally got their first win against AL in their most recent series. If you missed it last time, this team was 0-7. But let it be known, they will never lose 8 series in a row. They managed to take one against AL, and then after losing game 1, I was worried it was just a flash in the pan. But EDG fighting back.
So the thing is, the stakes have been put into the pan here, and it's chosen not to ult. So that's a half HP Alistar, who should be so much more tanky, but he can't go for the teamfight turnaround because he's ulted late. Then after Angel gets caught, Ppgod chooses death by Q return from Monkey. I don't know, he had a great game 1. Ppgod, this has not been his game completely so far.
No. Good and bad moments. The laning wasn't too bad, but the dive, and now this one, a little bit weird from Ppgod. Either way, still all to play for both teams. Gold relatively even. Drake spawning shortly. It's 2 currently on the board for EDG, but OMG with absolute control of the bottom side. There is a ward in the pit is the problem.
There is. The question is whether EDG can actually get successfully into River without falling afoul of Ppgod with the ult back up, with Flash being able to engage onto them. With that, even though EDG see this going down, there's not a great deal they can do about it. Instead, they can get themselves some mid-priority. Head up towards top side where Ala is pushing in and trying to reach himself some item breakpoints in the Jace.
This is very dangerous for Cube because there's no tier 2 in the mid lane. It means that this top jungle belongs to EDG. Cube getting dived here. It's not even a dive, to be honest. They're just between the towers. EDG a 5-man play to the top side. They do take a kill. They'll take a tier 1. They might be answered on the bottom side with a tier 2.
Maybe, but again, it's the kill onto Cube. Importantly, it's some gold onto Ala, who is going... So he's not going for the Profane Hydra build, which is sometimes what we see in the top lane. He's going for the Opportunity, which is going to be much more of the traditional poke-style Jace coming out from this season, which you normally see in mid lane. Gold onto him, it's kind of important because he has been put so far behind. He's not going to... I mean, look at the difference between him and Ezreal, who are both the tier-building champions in this game. Abel has almost finished his Muramana, whereas he's sat there, sadly not finishing anywhere near to his... well, actually, he might buy it on this next back, we'll see it. But he's just a little bit behind the game, is the main point.
He certainly is. We'll see if he can catch up, if he can get himself back into this one. I mean, I think that often the best way to see how impactful deaths have been is like looking at the CS numbers, right? The fact that he's significantly behind 10 CS per minute. This is Ala. This is a player that very much is capable of the 10 CS per minute, especially in a matchup like this where you can see he has a CS lead, but those deaths have led him to fall behind the curve a little bit, as you've pointed out. Does go back to base, gets his boost, gets his Caulfield Warhammer. It's not quite enough to finish off that management. So still, item advantage for the side of OMG. We talked about it in game number 1. Item spikes for Ezreal are where you can fight. Muramana just found by Abel. The stacking has finished. He's got his Essence Reaver. This is a strong Ezreal as he ticks level 11.
Again, we talked quite extensively about this in game 1 in terms of how Ezreal just kind of does brutal things when he reaches this item breakpoint. Baron has spawned, and OMG, despite the fact that they are now at a gold disadvantage, do have that important power spike to play around. And XiaoFang, let's talk about him as well, because that's a second item onto the Ppgod Triforce Kraken Slayer. Not a tanky Viego, it's not a Sundered Sky, it's not like the Divide and Sunderer we saw in previous seasons, so he's going to be a little easier to take down. But this is a pretty squishy team from EDG. He can be an extra damage threat if he gets into the right position.
Monkey drops control wall, just keep himself safe. Just hovering there to allow Ala to finish the tier 1 in the bottom side. Again, more gold into Ala's pocket. That is the game plan right now from the side of EDG. You mentioned earlier on that it's quite a difficult composition for the side of EDG using this Jace top. It's not something that we've seen much this year. And to be honest, with the Jace top, with the Karma mid, like in isolation without looking at the opposing composition, your first thought would be that Varus goes Lethality as well, play full poke, right? That would be your first instinct, but the Snake going with the on-hit Varus because he knows he's the only one that's going to be able to get through that front line. You've got an Alistair to deal with, an Udyr to deal with. You need some consistent DPS. And with the Graves there, you've already got plenty of poke.
Yeah, it typically tends to be, you know, if there's a tank on the other team, you can't really go poke. You can sometimes if you have an Azir, because then they pick up the DPS which you lack. Ppgod going to be face checking. Yeah, XiaoFang just alongside him too. Ala has himself the Muramana now. He has himself a decent amount of damage now, even though he was set behind. And with Baron spawned, EDG can use that range. Potentially they can look to starve out some vision, look for some poke, and see if they can get themselves pulling a way to pull ahead in this game. Already the poke starting line.
And one of the issues that OMG might find is Abel chunked pretty heavily. Ala was jumped pretty heavily. Ppgod quite a late ult. Once again, Vampire goes in onto everybody. Huge engage here. Answered 2 for 1. EDG now have to try and finish this fight off. XiaoFang dives in, but immediately chunked out and forced away. EDG, great little play there while Cube is away from the team.
Ppgod saves his ult to try and cleanse, but again, it's another late ult, which means he has no HP with the damage reduction on top of it. And EDG, despite the fact that they fell behind with this Jace top, despite the fact that this composition is pretty hard to play out in a lot of ways, they're starting to pull ahead. Baron started. OMG, do they have a fight left in them?
It's like this range comp working out. XiaoFang in the area. Are we actually going to 50-50 this one? No, because the smoke screen blocks vision. Great play by Monkey. Now EDG just have to try and flee for their lives. I think they've got away with it. I think that they just take the Baron here and call the bluff of OMG. Fantastic engage in the mid lane. Fantastic capitalization off the back of it.
Graves and Varus with the on-hit makes it a very fast Baron to take down. Even though they don't have the best tank to keep themselves high HP while taking it, they'll absolutely shred it. And EDG now get themselves a reset. Dragon is spawning. They might be a little late to the party, but still, the gold they've just spent, looks like they're going to be very powerful when they do turn up, and they will get themselves into rhythm.
Let's see, this time Cube with the team, so they have more of a way of actually face-checking in. Ppgod's ult is still on cooldown for a couple more seconds. They realistically need to wait for that before a fight kicks off. This is not sold, this will be sold point for EDG. I think OMG realizing that fact are just going to move to the mid lane, take a tier 1 in trade. They could try and keep pushing here. It does feel a little bit dangerous. Vampire will get a flank for free if they stay in this mid lane and seeing better of the plan.
Yeah, another thing which I want to point out too, we've seen it a couple of times now, poke from Jace, from Graves. This Karma is doing work. Seriously, Fisher had some huge damage in that last play around the Baron onto XiaoFang. He was able as well that was stood next to him. Karma, of course, had a huge load of buffs, is up there in terms of pick ban priority. That's something which OMG need to pay attention to as well. And now with the amount of gold in pocket and the Baron buff, keeping these minions topped up as well, EDG are in a great position to start sieging with that range advantage.
What a win this would be for EDG. I think this would be the first win, basically, where it's not Ala carrying, right? This would be such a big moment for them as a team, yeah. Monkey, fantastic game from him. XiaoFang equally, fantastic game. It does feel like both junglers with the potential to carry. Fisher's caught out just as he's been doing so well, and XiaoFang finishes the job. Monkey forced out of the players. Ala now forced to flash as well. XiaoFang over the wall. That's a little dangerous. Moves away from the play in the end. Everybody from EDG still grouping up at the red buff. They take it. Oh my god, they're going to go for the inhib as well. Vampire buying time, going to use that blast code just to cause disruption. Resets have to come on through. And in the meantime, EDG, they're going to take the mid inhib.
Well, Ala just teleported to the top wave as well, so they're going to take the inhib tower and they're going to take top lane in a turret. So it's not going to be the game-ending play, but honestly, well recognized from them to quickly sweep up some turrets. The big thing about lethality build is like the Jason Graves as well, is that lethality also applies to structures. If you hit towers, you do a lot of damage to them, and they get themselves two turrets off the back of it. It's a good engage from OMG though. Managed to force Fisher into a really awkward spot. Karma talked about the point of power, talked about how much damage they're doing. Still squishy though. Don't have a Zhonya's or anything on this build either, which typically don't tend to go on armor at all in the entire game. Goes down pretty easily. Vampire's caught out as well on the bot side of the map. OMG at least managed to claw back some kills, but they lose a lot of territory for it.
Abel is in no man's land. Okay, Blast Code saves the day, my goodness. If that ult hits, that is a dead AD carry. Abel's got to reset. I mean, OMG kind of caught out of position once again. Everybody resetting, but this is just going to be the inhib. EDG just kind of walking into the base twice in a row, and OMG no
but look at
idea what to
XiaoFang
do
and
about it.
Ppgod. They're looking potentially for a long flank. They're spotted on vision though. They walk over it. Ppgod's still going for the engage.
Ppgod, he didn't ult. Why
He
isn't
didn't have
ulting?
ults.
Unfortunate for Ppgod here. As Angel throws in the Spiral in Despair. I don't think it's going to finish the job onto Vampire. XiaoFang in what he thought was a 1v1, but Ala flies over the wall to finish the job. OMG have fallen apart in this game.
XiaoFang and Ppgod's flank was utterly disastrous. Ppgod, why didn't he wait an extra second so he could have ult? It was such a mistimed play. Desperation, and EDG will start pushing into the base.
Abel desperately trying to clear these waves. He's not had much impact on this game, to be honest, on this Ezreal. True Shot Barrage hits onto the Snake. He's trying to get damage onto Fisher as well. Vampire chunked. They've saved the game. Now looking for a pick or two off the back of the fight, but I don't think they're going to find it.
Oh, it's going to be a survival for OMG, but they are limping, beaten, and bruised. EDG managed to work their way through into this game. It feels like they've been punishing OMG for their over-aggression, but the thing is, OMG have to be aggressive. They're outranged. EDG, good patience from them to just use their range, siege out, and force OMG to make those mistakes. This isn't just OMG making mistakes in isolation, it's EDG forcing them into bad plays. Not that I'm particularly happy about the way that OMG have been looking for this either. You see here, just in the spectator, still no ultimate. Tries to go for a particular timing, but even then, I don't think Quay and Ezreal would have been in range. It feels like just a really bad execution of the opportunity.
It was literally the last half second before his ult as well. I looked at the overlay, it looked like it was up for Ppgod, but unfortunately, not quite. Monkey using that smoke screen to try and buy space. Wow, damage actually to harass as he dashes away from Ppgod's engage. Look at the damage onto this OMG squad. You cannot reset there.
Vampire.
That is not the place to be. Ultimate's coming on through though, and actually Angel going to trade it back. The Snake takes a Spiral in Despair, but a great ult coming out from Fisher. The Mantra E blocking so much damage.
And now those shields in this game have really stopped Angel and Abel being able to really start closing down these kills and get those resets going. Cube is trying the front line.
Oh,
he's quite tanky.
Big damage onto Vampire here. Cube, yeah, he's fallen tanky. He's practically invincible at this point. The amount of punishment he took in the previous play, and Self-Bar basically didn't move. Drake has spawned onto the map. Monkey starting this one off. This is Infernal Soul. If EDG can finish it off, XiaoFang knows that he's moving into the play. It's too late though. Drake's taken. And there we go, EDG. They get themselves an Infernal Soul. You thought that lethality might fall off in this game. Not with Infernal Soul, it won't.
Absolutely not. And EDG now with Infernal Soul on top of the poke is going to be absolutely disgusting. You can see EDG teleporting to contest this Baron. Ala can go back in with a huge amount of damage and try and burst them off the Baron.
OMG desperation play here, to be honest. Abel moving forwards, they're looking for Ala. This would be a pick that could set them up for XiaoFang. Force out the other side of the play, and Ala still goes 1-for-1. EDG in a phenomenal spot now to finish things out and push us to 3 games. Fisher chunked low. Abel, you've got to carry this one. This is the moment for you. Flashes away from the Barrett's ultimate, but he can only run so far. Managed to find one answer onto Fisher. Ala's down as well, but there's enough members remaining to finish this out. Super's in the base already as Cube is chased all the way home. The Supers are already destroying the Nexus towers, and here comes the Snake and Monkey to finish the job.
EDG have only played 8 series. but they have only found themselves in those 4 wins. They're looking for their 5th individual game win.
XiaoFang does have his ultimate available. I don't think EDG can end right now, and they could be in trouble of an answer. Ppgod can't close the gap. If he could have got in, if he could have pulverized them up, XiaoFang maybe could have cleaned that up, but EDG stays safe for now. Perhaps should have made the call to go for the top inhib instead in hindsight.
Yeah, I think that's potentially something that which they'll be ruining, but they can go back towards this Baron. There's no teleport. There is Cube's teleport, but no real position for them to contest either way. OMG will give up that objective. They're against the ocean, the Infernal Soul. Either way, running into this Baron pit, I don't think they're in position to really fight, though.
Certainly not. They'll decide against it. Baron taken for EDG here, and a great comeback in this game, honestly. Managing off the back of Ala kind of getting destroyed in the early game, let's be honest. Botch dive for OMG was what started this EDG lead, and they have run away with that fact.
The big thing I want you to pay attention to here is the fact that even though they get the kill on Ala, where's the Ppgod? Not there for the resets. They don't get to turn around with the lethality. Jace being able to use his basic abilities in this team fight, potentially get some more damage down. That damage being gone means that it is so difficult for OMG to roll through the rest of the fight. If they can get a good enough reset at the start of it, maybe this is different, but they can't pull it off.
And a pretty tragic play from Angel as well, as they're about to get the pick onto Ala. Angel just sort of walks into dive range of that Jace, flashes to achieve basically nothing, so the flash now on cooldown. Still goes down, means Ala can trade it. Bit of a disastrous fight from OMG. Top inhib will fall, mid already down. EDG looking to close things out if they can. Still 2 minutes on this Baron, so they can just keep this siege up all day long. They have a siege composition, they've got so much poke, they do not need to fight this.
Let's just see if Abel can get any choice Qs off. He can wave clear with it. Ppgod can use Defender's advantage. He's close to his home base. He's got home guards now. Slows landing onto the enemy team. EDG, there's a chance of an engage coming through.
Big damage on Vampire. If they can finish the job, Spiral in Despair to do exactly that. Ppgod actually ulted this time. That's progress for the side of OMG. The Snake trying to answer onto Q, but does not have the damage to take the Zudir down.
Again, because OMG is so close to home, they can just go back to the fountain, top themselves up in EDG. They have 2 inhibs down, they have an Infernal Soul, they have late game poke carries, but they can't siege their way to a victory. So OMG, they hold on.
I'm
and EDG,
really scared.
It feels like they're close, but they're not done yet.
This could be, if OMG somehow, no, Monkey's
oh no, the teleport!
Double TP to try and find Monkey. Angel gives him the movement speed, and Cube, like he needs help getting movement speed, charges towards the top side. There is a tower still up here. I don't know if they can just walk straight on under for the time being. The Banshees actually stops the true damage. Oh, here we go though. Ppgod underneath the tower for the 2nd time this game. Will not go down this time around. The spiraling despair is exactly what EDG fans are feeling right now as the jungler is picked at 33 minutes.
So EDG, they're probably getting triple inhib off of this. They don't have another teleport to stop the EDG push towards the spot side, but the recalls are now coming in. Can they finish this off? It's at least the tower, but now in the 4v5, EDG, they can't stay.
Oh god, they may have overstayed, to be honest. Okay, nice ult from the Snake. That'll deny the engage. OMG keep themselves in the game. The pick onto the jungler basically ends the Baron play. EDG at least get the bot tower. But my god, this is tense. If EDG lose this one, it will be heartbreak. That will be a difficult loss to recover from. Ala doesn't want it to happen. XiaoFang the target as he now dives onto Cube, who's got to try and escape. OMG just massively overstaying their position on the map.
They try to contest the Elder, but they walk into enemy vision, and now EDG have a complete advantage over this. There technically is a smite available, but XiaoFang, well, he was actually on cooldown. It's technically not even that. But he couldn't get into the pit either way. Just as OMG get a pick onto the enemy jungler to see this game out a little longer, EDG smack back with that big buff in the late game. And now with the poke and the Elder Burn on top of it, the Infernal Soul, OMG, I don't think you're lasting through this one.
This has got to be it, right? This has to be it. A poke composition with Elder Dragon with essentially 3 inhibs down. I think the 3rd one about to be taken by EDG. This has to be the end of the game. If they can't win this, they can't win anything. Oh, Abel, you got to be a little cautious there, buddy. That's not a trade that you win anymore.
It's To be careful, though, on the other side for Fisher, because if that ult hits him, it would have been nothing. That's the spiraling despair, getting some poke. They're just trying to see them off the base.
Trying to protect their towers. Angel down to half HP. The Elder is just so powerful. Ppgod can't survive this one. The burn is taken away and he falls. As does XiaoFang. Abel desperately trying to carry, but there's just nothing you can do. Forced back to Fountain and slammed into the floor by Allah. Redemption for the top lane of EDG after a terrible laning phase. And a victory in the end. 1-for-1 here in the series.
Only the 5th individual game win for EDG of 2024 so far, despite the fact they are now into their 9th series of Spring. But they get it done. It's been hard fought. It felt like they had thrown away that early game after the obviously pretty bad deaths from Allen towards topside, but they managed to recover. And now OMG find themselves going to a game 3, and we revisit some questions about their consistency.
Yeah, I feel like both teams with reasonably strong wins for themselves, but both teams with questionable moves in their losses. I mean, honestly, we'll just have to see what happens here in game number 3. I don't think either team is reliable enough to truly believe it at this stage. So let's just give it up to fate. We'll find out after